When somebody die, you claiming self-defense in those circumstances, and you got the proportionality thing to deal with on top of all of that, and you're claiming self-defense, and no, you're not walking up out of there successful, and they don't even hear your voice. They don't even get to connect with you. See, that's the problem with me. It's like, to me, you made yourself almost like a prop, a thing. When I don't hear from a human being and I'm just sitting there watching them every day, and I got human beings coming in crying, feeling people that lost a loved one, whatever, but then I don't even get to even have a connection with this young because I don't even hear his voice. You know what I'm saying? You
I,
can't you can't do that. You can't put yourself in that situation because there's no way, as an attorney, I'm telling you, somebody dies, you gonna sit there a whole trial, they don't hear your damn voice, and you think you're finna walk up out of there. It ain't gonna happen.
I feel like, attorney, even if he were to still speak, the environment that he was in, he still wouldn't have made it out, to be honest. Whether he spoke for himself or not, it was already pre-planned.
But you still speak because I'm gonna tell you what that does for you.
Okay.
You still speak, number one, because the jurors get to hear from you. There is a small chance that one of them say, you know what, I agree with you. And you know what? I'm gonna hold my damn ground on that. Because guess what? All I need is one. And that's the other thing people are missing. You think I'm gonna have to convince 12. If I get one person that says, man, you know what? I can understand him being under that pressure. And I'm not changing my damn mind, then they got to do it all over again. I'm okay with that. Or you get one person that says, you know what? Even if I do change my mind, I ain't gonna get this boy a lot of time. We're gonna sit here all day, even if we found him guilty, until they come back with a low number when we get the punishment. I'm not gonna do anything.
Okay.
And so you have opportunities to either A, win completely, B, get a mistrial, C, get a lesser charge by making everybody go to manslaughter instead of being murder, D, be in a situation where you get a lot less time if he speaks. And on top of that, guess what? When your attorney asks you questions, then there's going to be a lot of rulings on those objections, right? What happens if the attorneys on the other side ask you a question and the judge lets, and your attorneys object and the judge lets that question be answered and the judge makes a mistake? Guess what happens? Then you get an appeal. See, it allows you to be able to do what? It allows them to make errors that you can even use to even appeal on. That's why I would have wanted to hear his voice.
Calvin, real quick before we bring on Mama Flips, is there a circumstance to where Hunter would have been made to testify, and if he didn't, the jury would at least know that? I was just curious about that.
There could have been, but the state could have called him to testify. But I think you don't want to put your own you don't want to pressure your own witness like that. Now the defense could have made him testify, but that's dangerous. The reason why I say it's dangerous because you don't know what he's gonna say. If he goes up there, it could go good for you because you can catch him in some discrepancies, right? But sometimes jurors will be sympathetic for him because he lost his brother. Or he could say some stuff that could hurt your case because he can say some stuff upon which, if you're thinking about not calling Kamelo, then now you gotta call him, you know? So for sympathy reasons and the potential that he could say something that might force you to call Kamelo, sometimes you don't want to come off as attacking the brother of the dead kid. So there's like a 50-50. There's some good and some bad. And so they probably decided not to try to nail him to the wall and make him testify.
Okay, let's introduce Mama Flips to the conversation. Say your piece.
Hi. No, I just came in just to pretty much say hi. Only thing, I mean, I was adding to the actual chat is I think Attorney Calvin is amazing. My concern about the some of the statements is like, for example, when we talk about the multiple tools portion, or when we talk about the stand your ground portion, there's a lot of people that don't want to relitigate the case. That's not what our point is. Our point is to figure out if this trial had, you know, was conducted improperly. If there was a failure of attorney, if there was a failure of describing, for example, the multi-tool topic is one of the ones I like to talk about, because yes, we know there is a knife in it, and I know it was used in abusive manner. I mean, not abusive manner. It was used in order to unalive somebody. But isn't our role, a lot of people's role, is to find different ways to talk about the case, find when it was faulty, find different examples where you could appeal, right? In order to help Carmelo, especially a lot of advocates, you know.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes Anthony Calvin is just a little stern in his reply when he be talking about, oh, these arguments is a non-starter, or it's a silly, or we shouldn't go that route. I don't agree with that. I agree there's
Mhm.
certain things that we have to consider all around, but I think that if we are in the position where we are now, a lot of people are in the position where we want to actually figure out if this case, and then at the end of the day, what we're trying to figure out if this case was fair to this young man. That's pretty much.
Mhm.
And I think when Attorney Calvin was like, okay, the multitude is, you know, sort of kind of, you know, non-starter, and then you in turn use the water argument, which I found very interesting. And you said that
Mhm.
somebody used water and they unalive somebody and they got the man act or aggravated assault. That's
Mhm.
exactly what we're talking about. We're
Mhm.
saying that the fact that he had this multitude tool, it should have been considered a man, you know, not man act, but I don't like to use the man word.
Menace.
Menace. Thank you,
Mhm.
because we
Mhm.
we want to use
Mhm.
a menace or assault. So
Mhm.
when you use the water example, I was in my room like,
Mhm.
yes, that's exactly what we're trying to
Mhm.
do by talking about the multiple tool. So it's not
Mhm.
really a silly argument, right? It's like
It's
it probably not a non-starter for lawyers, right? But it's
mhm.
something that we want to consider, because we really feel, a lot of us really feel that the Erdo one was too far. 35 years is too far. So this is
Mhm.
why a lot of us are talking about these various um, tools, these various thoughts, these various laws, and you see what I'm saying?
The can I say this? The reason why I have to be stern is because I have to direct you to areas where you're going to get some success at.
Okay.
Your areas of success in terms of trying to appeal something like this would be the jury, the way that the three educators were struck. That's an area upon which you can try to get some resolve. You can try ineffective assistance of counsel, depending on how they explained what his rights were to testify or not to testify, or the consequences of him not testifying. Maybe they didn't explain everything to him as well as he needed that to be explained to him. The reason why I have to be so stern is because I want to make sure that people understand. And my additive to this conversation really is a little different from everybody else's, not because um, not because I think I'm smarter than everybody
I mean,
else.
you're
It's
in the
because
field, so
exactly. It's just I have to be stern because I that's what I have to do. Every time that, even with clients that I deal with, I had to explain to somebody the other day. I said, one of my buddies who does martial arts, I go, well, we're gonna disagree about that. And I said, no. I said, no, we're not. I said, that's how it is, and that's just what it is. Like, that's not gonna change. And I just told him, I said, if I was taking martial arts classes from you and you were showing me A, B, and C, and if I didn't do A and B, I'm gonna get my face cracked if I don't do it. And that's not gonna be up for debate. If you show me how to defend myself from a particular move and I don't do that, my face is gonna get cracked. That's 100% going to happen. And it's because that's your area of expertise. I got to kind of listen to it and go from there. Now, not saying that I'm negating the arguments that everybody wants to make. It's just that I want to make sure that everybody everybody puts their arguments on things that they're going to actually produce results to actually help him. When I say actually help him, those jurors, that's the way you can go. Um, the um, the ineffective assistance of counsel, that's a way you might be able to go. Um, um, some of the rulings on some of the objections, that might be a way you could go, because if they didn't rule properly on some of those objections, that might be a way you could go. Um, um, those are the things that are going to give you more of a chance to actually have a positive opportunity to appeal. The appeal stuff is very, very, very um, book intensive. When I say book intensive, they're going to order a transcript. They're going to go through that transcript with a fine tooth comb as an appeal attorney. He's going to look at what the Constitution, Texas Constitution says, United States Constitution says, and he's going to look at previous case law, and then he's going to try to find out where the judge made a mistake constitutionally, case wise, evidentiary wise, and then he's going to put up challenges to particular things that happened in the case to say that there was error, not only error, but reversible error. To help everybody understand appeal, and this is why I'm kind of negating, maybe y'all sound like I wouldn't say negating, that I'm saying stuff isn't that important. There's error, and then there's what we call reversible error. Just because there is a mistake, is that mistake big enough to cause him not to have a fair trial, right? So describing how a difference between a knife and a multi-purpose tool, that's is not going to be considered something that's going to be reversible error, because even though it's a multi-purpose tool, it contains a knife as one of the multiple purposes. That's not something that is going to, on appeal with the Texas Court of Appeals, going to turn that case around. What's going to turn that case around is if they messed up on striking those three black jurors that were educators. What's going to turn that case around is if they made some mistakes on rulings on objections. What's going to turn that case around is if Mike Howard, or even in explaining to the young man that they did not tell him everything that they needed to tell him to understand the consequences or implications of him not testifying and how it could hurt him. If they didn't do that properly, that could turn it around for him. You see what I'm saying? So you have to figure out not just error, but reversible error that is going to get him back to the courts.
And I want to make sure that I understand. You're an attorney, and I'm glad that Queens mentioned this. You are in the field, but you have other people that's also in the field. Like, for example, me myself, I'm not an attorney, but I'm a 12-year advocate from pew pew violence prevention. So I've read all the laws. I've fought against certain things as part of my organization. I also am part very politically connected. So I understand what you're saying, but there are also other factors that come into play when other people want to come into the conversation, right? To bring up other things. And sometimes I just feel that, yes, of course, we have to make sure, because when I talk about pew pew violence and when I talk about the rules and regulations and all the stuff that I know for many years, I'm very stern on point. I know what the hell I'm talking about. I know where we're going with this, but I just feel maybe more of an advocate. I would give more credence or more to other people's way of thinking instead of just shutting them down. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just saying that maybe some people are thinking that way. You know what I mean? So
I get that. I get that part.
yeah, that's
But
all I'm
but
saying. But
but
I
I,
understand where
but
you're coming from. I do understand where you're coming from completely. I know exactly where you're coming. I just wanted to say that. That's all.
and I definitely understand that, and because one of the things that I constantly run into is that. But with that being said, the reason why I do have to be that way is because I want to make sure that when we go on the route of actually trying to help him, that we get him, if we're trying to help him, that we get him in a space that's going to actually do something that's going to get him where he needs to be. Which, if he's trying to get a new trial or have a new opportunity, you got to take the routes that are going to get him there. Because I constantly have conversations with people about some of those other things, I go like, no, that's not going to get him there because I know it's not going to get him there. So I want to make sure that it gets them there. And for me, it's like, I want to make sure that if we're going to engage in that part of the conversation, that we get them there. I'm very careful about it. I even had a conversation with Mel because I was like, Mel, I'm probably going to talk a little less even about this case as a whole, because some people sometimes will go, well, Calvin, you're not positive enough. No, it's not that I'm not positive enough about it or that I'm close-minded about certain things. It's just that I have to be stern about things because I
You're
want to
being a
make sure that
realist.
we, exactly, I'm giving them the reels, and I don't want people to chase rabbits down holes where we need to be like, hey, if there are problems and there's 30 potential things, let's spend our resources on these 4 or 5, because these 4 or 5 are the big nuggets. Those other 25 things aren't going to get you anything. And that's just me doing this almost a quarter century. And then people have to understand, I'll give you a little bit more background about me. I've not only done this for almost 25 years come November. I went to the high school. I'll tell you like this. I went to high school for public services, government, and law. So, which means from the age of 13, I'm 53 now. For 40 years, I've been either practicing law or going to school to become an attorney for 4 decades. This is all I've ever done. I have to be careful because my mind is so fast and so quick and is filled with so much knowledge about these things, because this is what I do. I live it day and night. I hardly ever even take vacations. Mel will tell you that. So it's that's why it is for me. And so I got to be careful about that kind of stuff. And if I come off like that, I'm sorry, y'all, but when I see stuff like this, I want to make sure that people, when we take, if we gonna take chances on certain things, let's take chances on things that gonna win them something.
Calvin,
I,
can you
Okay, so
address?
oh,
I
I'm
just
sorry,
wanted
real
to.
quick. Can you address her? She's been asking this question for quite some time.
Okay, Mel, could, when he's done answering, could you ask my question regarding the attorney process of how he would handle it if ever in this situation this could help others? You find an appellant attorney that has been doing it for a while. Appellant attorneys are different from me. They're more bookwormy. The guy that I use, which I think about, they're thinking about because I talked to some people that are from the not from the family, but are close to the Anthony family. Um, they're thinking about using this guy, maybe Russell Wilson. Russell is a great attorney. I think
Mm.
he he's the person that I send my appeal stuff to, and he also does the stuff. You know, when you do continuing legal education, he teaches the stuff for the state bar. So Russell's really, 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 really good about that kind of stuff, uh, and that's kind of the appeal process. When you appeal a case, you get a transcript, you go through it, and you try to find mistakes. You try to find mistakes where the judge maybe did not rule properly on an objection. You try to find mistakes where, let's say, in jury selection, we're doing voir dire, where maybe those three educators got taken off, and or maybe he made a mistake there. There's definitely going to be an argument there. You go through the transcript to where maybe something was allowed and should not have been allowed in there. But people that are the appeal attorneys do that. They file their notice. Usually they get about 3 or 4 months, sometimes up to 5 or 6 months, sometimes actually to write it. Usually it's done within 90 days. Sometimes they get extensions. But they get the transcript and they go through with a fine tooth comb. Then the court of appeal, they file their briefs. Then the court of appeals they get their briefs. Sometimes they'll have the oral arguments, but sometimes it's mainly the briefs that get filed. But they file their briefs, and usually there's a decision. Usually within a year of them getting it, because they have a lot of cases that are on that particular docket. So the appeals process for Kamelo Anthony, knowing it was such a serious case, is probably going to take anywhere from a year to a year and a half before we get a decision back on his appeal.
Okay, Queen.
He definitely answered my question. So let me ask you something. So if they do go with that attorney or whatever, was what you say, Russell
Wilson, yes.
Wilson?
Mhm.
Do you believe that he can get it turned around to where he's not convicted or lesser time?
Well, this is the thing that everybody has to look at. I always tell people you got to have proper expectations when you deal with cases. And I'm careful even in talking about this because there's just stuff about this cases that none of us know, right? We
Right.
know a lot of it, even though we went and said it, but they're, like I said, I don't know Camelo's part. I don't know his story. So
Right.
I'm kind of apprehensive about that. But like I said, knowing that you just went to trial and got 35 years, let's say they come back and say, okay, we're going to give you manslaughter. We're going to give you 15. We're going to give you 18. We're going to give you 10. We're going to give you something else. You got a decision that you're going to make. You can either try to fight it again, or knowing you were just throwing at 35, if you're a young man like that, you might say, I'm going to take a deal because I don't want to be looking at a long sentence like that. So sometimes that can happen where somebody's granted an appeal and the state goes, you know what? We're going to offer him this because we don't want to have to go through that anymore. The community can't handle it. People are about to people at each other are at each other's necks out here about the whole situation. So we're just going to do this with it. And so sometimes that's the situation. And that's another reason why I'm going to get to this part. I really wish people, not us, because I think we're being very responsible about how we talk about both sides. I really wish people would be responsible about what they say about folk. You know what I mean? And y'all know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Digging people up. I'm talking about somebody said something about digging people up and stabbing them again. And then some people are saying some very nasty stuff about Kamelo since he's been in there. That kind of rhetoric coming from that side, that kind of rhetoric coming from this side, that doesn't need to happen because that hurts the resolution situation. Let's say if he does get an appeal. So I think that everybody that is allegedly involved in so-called trying to help him, they need to chill. Now, I know we had a situation here recently with Charleston White, and I really don't like talking about him. But I don't like that. I don't like what happened. Because man, that young man, for whatever you think about him, man, he's really going through it. And you playing all this stuff with this that person's daddy and his daddy, man, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's him. You got a kid that's dead, and you got a kid that's in jail for 35 years. You arguing with them dads, and that doesn't help him. You know, y'all know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, well, we trust me.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like, that's not right. Why you doing that? That's
Well,
not right.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I want to have a caveat on that. Uh, Again, as a survivor, a family member who lost a loved one due to violence, I don't talk about the Metcalf family out of respect, right? Survivors, you have like a membership you don't want to be part of. I
Mm-hmm.
do want to make sure that we make it clear, though, that Jeff Metcalf is very angry and he's using a lot of racial tone.
Oh, I know. I
All
know.
right, he's calling
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo the watermelon and the felon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I know.
A lot of tones, and also and it's being alleged. I haven't seen it, but some people have said that they're making it very difficult for the survivor for Carmelo Anthony family, and they're attacking them now. I
Mm-hmm.
could honestly, personally say that I spent every court date with my sister. We went through the trial. In fact, my sister just texted me and said that he's going to be out in 2 years. We have never pursued the family of the young man that killed my nephew or my sister. My
Mm-hmm.
sister, she lives in the neighborhood with that family. She wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have thought, it wouldn't have occurred to her to go and harass the
Mm-hmm.
family of the kid. It's just not done. You understand what I'm saying? I know
Mm-hmm.
it's not a
Mm-hmm.
certain situation, but in this high profile case, when the father is coming out and he's being very, using these racial terminology,
Mm-hmm.
just really show
Mm-hmm.
your face constantly. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be in mourning, right? And you
Yep.
can't tell the survivor how to react. I could tell you
Yeah.
that. You can't
So
do
does
Yeah.
that help Carmelo
Now,
for
no.
his appeal?
yeah, this is what I tell. This is what I tell people. I don't know if that helps him as far as his appeal. And what I'm telling y'all is, I get what she's saying, but what I'm saying is, for me, mom, dad, Metcalfs, y'all argue, say what y'all got to say to each other. But that foolishness that Charleston White is doing, I don't like. I ain't trying. That's what I
Right.
was referring to. I'm referring to that. Like, no, I'm not.
But
I'm
he
referring
spoke
to that
about it
foolishness.
too. I'm not
So,
sure if you're
I
aware.
get
but
it.
does it help? But
Please give
does
me
it
1 second.
help
That
Carmelo's side? I mean, does it help
it doesn't.
with his appeal? No, I'm talking about us, about the Jeff Metcalf saying all that. Will that
It
help?
doesn't.
So what's the difference if we go at him then?
No,
I don't
listen.
like
Let
what
me.
you
Let me.
said to me because
No, no,
you mean
no.
to tell me
Listen.
this man can
No,
say what he
listen.
want to say and we
Listen.
just supposed to be
No, no.
quiet?
Listen.
No.
Listen. Listen. Let me tell you this. This is what
I
I'm
want
trying to tell y'all. Let me help y'all out so y'all understand. Let me help y'all out so I understand. If it comes on appeal, there may be a time where they go to that family and say, well, can we do this? Can we do that? Can we offer this person a lower deal or a lower amount of time? Y'all could agree with me or not agree with me. It don't matter to me. But I'm telling y'all, my whole deal is, regardless how anybody feel, I don't want this young man to have any opportunity of having to be down there no 35 damn years. So I'm willing to do anything in the world if it's in my power for him to get less time, because I understand how, because I've had clients to get
Okay.
some time. I don't want him to get that amount of time. I understand looking ahead that if he were to get an appeal, what would happen if he gets an appeal and they decide either we're going to try this case or we're going to offer him a deal? they're going to go to that Metcalf family. They're going to go to them and they're going to go whatever. They're going to go to them. Okay. There's going to
But
be a
Calvin, you're not
conversation.
making sense.
Listen,
What
look,
difference does it
no,
make
listen,
if he
listen.
already hates
I
black people?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But what I'm trying to tell you is I understand what you're saying. My deal is I don't want it amped up because even in that case, as long as there's an opportunity to reduce his time, that's what I'm about if that young man is going to be helped. I'm not in my feelings about him and what he's saying because with me, with people that are like him, I consider them folks that talk like that. I'm not going to argue. I don't care what they think about me. I'm a little different. So if we're going to keep it 100, I don't care what they think. I don't care what they say about me because I don't care. I think people like that are Neanderthals to me as far as I'm concerned because I don't really pay attention to what they say or how they feel or what they think about black people because I look at people like that like they're cave folk. I just look at them. I go, whatever you say is what you say. I don't care. But my
Okay.
whole deal is for this young man, I just want any opportunity for him to get less because I've sat next to young people staring at that amount of time and I looked at that young man's face and he looked scared. I don't want everything out here going crazy. Everybody arguing with each other, everybody at each other's necks. And if that's going to make it harder for him to get less time, that's where I got a problem. I just don't want nothing that's going to cause him to even have the opportunity to get less time than he got. That's where I'm at. So
Okay,
that's
so
why
let
I'm
me
doing it. I
okay,
don't
so
care
what you're
about how somebody
saying
else feel
is
about it.
so what you're saying is ig- ignore somebody got feedback. Can you go on mute, please, ma'am, with the pink? Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, so what you're saying to me, right? And to everybody is do not respond, try to keep the peace. Okay. I get that
No,
part. Just on behalf of
it
Carmelo, correct? I'm
it,
still
it
lost what you're saying.
now it's not even that. It's not even that to an extent. If you're gonna have the conversations, because I'm not gonna let somebody just talk crazy to me and not really say nothing back. What I'm saying is when I looked at what Charleston White was doing, and I want y'all to understand what I'm really saying about him and his situation, because I really
Okay.
hate going at him like this. He clout chasing and trying to make money and get attention
Right.
off that boy's name. If that's really what I'm saying,
Okay. I see what
and
okay.
because he's not really, to me,
For
he
him.
ain't standing. He not standing up for us because
Facts.
he was willing to throw Daddy under the bus, right?
That's true. Yeah.
He ready to throw Daddy under the bus, and then all of a sudden, I guess because Mr. Metcalf won't hug him now. Now he going off on Mr. Metcalf. To me, that doesn't do any good for the young man.
I see what
That's
you're saying.
more of what I'm talking about.
Okay, because I
Now,
was confused. Like, we not going there, Carmelo. We taking up
no,
for him. You see what I'm saying?
no,
So
listen,
what you said is what Charleston's doing, not as opposed to Carmelo's supporters.
yeah. Let me tell y'all, this is what I tell y'all what I'm saying when it comes to that. When it comes to Jeff Metcalf, y'all not directly talking to Mr. Metcalf, calling him, going at him, going on the end. Did y'all see what happened today? What Charleston White put out earlier today? Did y'all see
Yeah,
what he
it
put
was
out today?
disgusting. Yes.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, I got
If
you. I feel
have
you.
everybody watching this seen that? Has everybody seen what he
Yes.
put out earlier?
I went live on
Well,
it. Yes, I
I
seen it.
saw what he did. I just
Stick.
wanted to make sure that we understand that I personally don't have any positive energy for Charleston because he went against my son on a show one time. So for
Oh
him
See?
to
wow.
go against my
You see,
son,
that's what I'm
just
talking
doing some
about.
stuff.
Right.
But with that
That's
said,
what I'm talking about.
I have to be fair. I will always it will always be on stuck with me and him. No disrespect to him. If you know who my son is, you know what you did. But what I would say is that Jeff Metcalf, I thought went after Charleston Huston first. That's what I thought. I thought that he was responding to what Jeff Metcalf said, and this is why I say that I would not touch that argument between the two of them because I think because Charleston said that he's going to help raise money, do everything he can to help Carmelo Anthony. That's why Jeff Metcalf, the father, went after him and called him a shorty or punk or something like
Correct.
that. And then that's why Charleston responded to that. So I just want to make sure that we understand the whole thing. We don't have to agree with Charleston, but we just want to make sure that I thought he was responding to what Jeff said.
He
And,
was.
That's
but
all I
but
want to say about that.
but with
Yeah.
that being said, then he came back and went out to the dad,
The
called
dad.
him weak and
Yeah.
doing all this. And see, this my whole deal. Man, whatever that man did or didn't do, man, leave that man alone. Don't mess with that man right now. His son just got 35 years. What are you doing? Don't play with that man like that right now. Don't do that.
Right.
I mean, somebody got to have some sense. See, that's why I don't like all that, man. That's just to me. I don't like all. I don't play like that. Like for
Right.
me, and from the era that we're from, and I'm gonna tell you, I guess Charleston maybe is around my age, maybe a little older. Guys from my era, we know you don't do that. We know better.
Right.
Like I don't play like that. Like guys from my era, when you threaten them, now we come like he from down here. I'm from Texas. I'm down. He from Fort Worth. Like where I'm from, if you threaten me, I'm coming to look for you first. You don't do
Right.
that. We don't do that. I tell you what, you go okay. I gotta come take because I'm not gonna be looking over my shoulder. And that's just how we do what we do when we're now here. So there's certain rules that you don't violate. Doing what he's doing, he wrong for that. And that's why I'm upset with him because you're doing all of this stuff and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help this young man.
Mm-mm.
It's not helping this young man. Whatever you're doing now, believe me, Jeff Metcalf has done his own hole with some of the crazy stuff he's saying. Hey, whatever he say, do what you got to do with him. But what Charleston is doing, I don't like, man. You're
Don't
going at
hurt
this man's
Carmelo.
daddy. Yeah, don't hurt Kamelo, man. Going at this man daddy. That's what
Yeah.
I don't like. And then you're going back and forth with this guy and his dad. That's not. And then to me,
Become a
you're
shit
making it
show.
all about you. Yeah, you're making it all
Yeah.
about you, and it's not helping this young man. I don't play like that. I
Right.
just don't.
I
Because
would
when
like
people go to jail, from what I've seen, and it's funny. I know, like you've been in a situation with your son. When people go to jail, man, that stuff is for real. It's for real.
I
Time
want
is for real.
since Mel is not here, I'd like to introduce Miss. I think it was you changed your name. I don't know if you changed your name, Miss Pretty P. Hi, how are you? Did you want to come in and ask a question or make your statement? Because Mel stepped away. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Are you like, oh, I'm not Miss Pretty P. I'm
Oh,
Mel calls us Remedy.
Remedy. I'm
Okay,
sorry. I thought
remedy.
I saw Pretty P on your name. I'm sorry. It probably was some that is. Go ahead. Would you like to say something?
Um, yeah, I want to piggyback off of something that Mel said earlier. Calvin, with you being a defense attorney, now we watch. I know we see a lot of stuff on TV, not firsthand, but how come is it for a prosecutor or whoever is trying to establish this case to present a tool, a weapon, whatever you want to call it, that was not even used in the actual event? Now you have all of us wondering what it really was because some people are referencing multi-purpose tool, some are saying a knife. You mean to tell me they collected evidence from that scene, but they didn't even present the real? Am I Mel? Am I wrong? Did they not present the real tool that was used?
What
No,
they
you're right.
but let me tell you what happens, right? When somebody gets cut now, listen, let me help you.
If y'all
When
can hear
somebody
me, I can't hear y'all, so I have to
but
leave and come back.
yeah, but when somebody gets cut, right, there's gonna be blood on it. If they have it, and what they do, they're not gonna wash it off. They leave it in its current state. And so then they got to pass it around. They put it in a bag and you pass it around. You're gonna put it in front of the jury. Now, if you're a defense team, if you're a defense team, do you want that actual? Because all they're gonna do is get a replica of the same thing. Do you want a bloody knife being passed in front of a jury, or do you just want the replica of the thing? Or are you gonna get mad at that? I don't want a bloody knife in front of my jurors.
I want the
If
real
it's
thing,
if it's the
Captain.
same thing.
No,
I
I
don't
want
want a bloody knife. I
but
don't want
listen,
the I don't
it can't
I don't want the
can't do
exact
any
knife
more
with blood
damage
in front of my
though.
jury. But
The
it's the
real
same thing.
thing, the real knife, bloody or not, cannot do any more damage than the one that you are implying that he used. They're already showing graphic evidence. They already
Mhm.
turned the
But I
camera to
wouldn't.
show them
I
things that
mean,
we couldn't.
but
So it's not gonna
I'm
hurt
not going
any of
to I'm not going to advise my client to be if I'm sitting there and a murder happened, I don't want a jury looking at a bloody knife right before they go back and deliberate whether I'm going to go free or not. But we can disagree on that. That's fine. But I would never agree to do that. I mean, because if it's the same thing, it's not. That's not going to turn the case for me or not turn the case for me. If it's going to be a replica and I know it's a replica, I'm fine with that. I don't want that bloody knife going there. That's not going to change the case one way or the other for me. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm
but
just going
I
to go
need
ahead
you but
and
I need you to show me what I use though. And I needed to be
uh,
established that this is mine. This is mine. This was my property. I had this. I need this actual thing that was used in my presence to lay eyes on it to
but
see
let me tell you,
the document.
let me tell you what typically happens. They have a conversation with the state. They have a conversation with Kamelo. The attorney is going to say, hey, this is your knife. This is what they have. Are you okay with them? Do you want this bloody knife in there in this courtroom being passed in front of a jury? Or are you okay with the replica? The attorney is going to say, you know what? These are the same things. Here's your bloody knife. Here's the replica. This is what we're going to do. Do you want to use the replica or the bloody knife? They do that way before we get in there. I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want the bloody knife being passed in front of an open jury right before they're deciding my fate. So that's not going to change anything for us. But we can disagree. But I
Yeah.
think we can move on. We can
No,
disagree.
no. I got one more
I'm not
thing to
gonna let
say
that
to that.
happen.
But I have one more thing to say to that, Calvin. It's
That's
important
fine.
to note that it was raining. So any blood, a lot of blood, we don't know if it was a lot of blood or a little blood. We don't know what was on there. And now we don't know because they did not present the actual tool that he
But,
used.
but this
I
one
don't
I'm
care how much blood was on it. We don't know. But it was raining. I know some could have washed out, so that definitely could have helped Carmelo, if you
but
ask me.
but what I'm telling you, it was under a tent. And I'm telling you, they have this conversation between the both sides before they go in there. I know this is what I do. And even with that being said, I'd rather not have a bloody knife in front of somebody that's getting ready to deliberate whether I'm going to walk up out of there or not. If I know it could be, it's the replica, it's going to be the same thing, I'd rather not have something with blood on it in front of my jury. Uh, that's just that. That's just my opinion. I mean, you can do it the way you want to do it, but I know because I do it. All they're going to do is say, hey, this is the bloody knife. Here's the piece of evidence that's in the bag. Do you want this one up here or we can just use a replica? I'm going to tell them to use the replica because I want that bloody knife in front of them folks before they decide on whether I'm going to be found guilty or not.
So you mean to tell me of all the stuff that we've seen, and we've seen some gruesome stuff, they give the people an option? I think it's the prosecution's job to show it
Listen,
and get the
they can, of
result from the
course,
jury that
listen,
they want to.
they,
Why would
but
I
listen,
not
they,
present this bloody knife?
but let me
Why would
break
I
something
not
down to
show
you.
them what he
But,
did to this man or this child to convict him?
but that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I can't hear y'all. If the
They
sound went
have
out
those
again, so I gotta leave
conversations. We can
again.
disagree with it. We can move on from that. Let's disagree with it and move on.
Well,
We can disagree with each other.
well, I do want to mention, Calvin, I think a lot of reasons, and I'm going to let it go with the multi-tool purpose also, because like you
I
said,
get
it
it.
was used in the crime. So I'm going to let it go. But I do want to make sure that I mentioned just one thing before I let it go. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people, the reason why a lot of people keep pushing that terminology is there's so many people on the other side that's coming and saying that it's a knife, 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 as if it was like one of those huge,
It,
either
Yeah,
kitchen knife.
I would like it to
it's
be
on the
referred as
screen.
a
It's on the
multi-purpose
screen.
tool.
No, I
Yeah,
understand, Mel. I just was mentioning to Calvin. I
yeah.
think the reason why everybody's keep trying to stick to that point is because even I don't know if you saw a chat where somebody say, "Well, what was it, a multi-purpose tool or was it a knife?" You understand what I'm saying?
I
This is
would.
what we're
It's
trying
on
to.
the screen.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
you know what I
understand,
would say.
Mel.
You
I
know what
understand,
I'll tell you
Mel.
with that. I know
Thank
exactly
you,
what
Calvin.
you're saying.
Thank you,
I
Calvin.
will.
Oh, okay.
I want to refer to it as a multi-purpose tool
That's what
as
I'm saying.
much as possible
Thank
because
you.
what I'm going to say. But see,
Thank Yes.
once again, when I'm making my argument, what I'm going to tell people is I'm gonna call it a multi-purpose
Thank
tool
you.
as
That's all I'm
opposed to a
saying.
knife. I'm
Yes.
not gonna say,
Man.
it's a multi-purpose tool. I'm gonna say that most of the time.
Thank
And once again, there's always a way to say things, even when I refer to my clients, I don't say the defendant. I say the citizen accused. So I don't even use the word defendant when I refer to people in court. I say the citizen accused. I make it a way upon which I go the citizen accused. I don't even say defendant. And so those are things where exactly you want to refer to things a particular way because there's ways that you can soften the hit. And even when asking questions, sometimes you can personalize people a little bit more to get the things you want to get because that's what you want to do. And then the other part of it is there's always reasons why we do things we do. Like I'll give you an example. There's some people, as gory as things would have been in that particular courtroom, some of the things that they saw, there's some people that have just not ever seen anybody bleed, seen blood, been around any of that. And the more of that you expose them to, the more that they're going to want to think something really bad happened and somebody shouldn't walk up out of there. That's been my experience. So for myself, I want them seeing as less of that as possible. Because for a lot of people, you have to understand, you got some people, man, they don't see no blood ever on anything in those situations. You got some people who ain't never been in a fight in their life. You know, you got some people that honestly, some people that end up on these juries, they be the quietest one in the room and end up on there, and then they end up looking at stuff that they never ever wanted to see in their lives. So you always have to be careful about exposing them to certain things. Like you just got to be careful. And then on top of that, when you go through your jury questionnaires, um, you got to also know your jury. So put it like this: when that jury is seated, you do get bits and pieces of information about the folks that are on that jury. So sometimes you're using that to determine, okay, I got to be careful with that person because sometimes you're looking at jurors based on what they do for a living. If are they homemakers? Are they doctors? Like doctors and nurses may be used to seeing blood. Um, Somebody that is a seamstress is not, an older 65-year-old seamstress is not used to seeing blood. So you maybe you got two of those on there. Maybe you don't want them to see that. You know what I mean? So there are numbers of things that are going on in the background that will cause you to say, you don't want certain things to have to be like passed around like that. And then on top of that, you just got to be careful with that kind of stuff. And you're passing around too when you stab somebody, they put this knife in a bag and it's like a biodegradable little bag, little and you're passing it around and it can get kind of icky, sticky, nasty. Do I want that in front of somebody that is deciding whether to find my client guilty of killing somebody? Man, I might see, and guess what? Guess what you do? Check this out. Guess what you do? And this is what people don't understand. Let's say we're gonna make that decision to have the real bloody knife in there, right? Guess what I get to do in closing arguments? I get to
you.
use it, don't I?
Yeah, you're gonna show it again. Yeah, to use it and show it
So I
again.
get to take that bloody knife with
Yep.
all that blood on. We're gonna use this green piggyback to my daughter's piggyback. We're gonna get so the bloody knife, instead of that nice clean replica, So the last thing they see, if I'm a prosecutor, you know what the last thing I'm gonna do? Because they, the prosecutors get to go last, right? So for anybody deciding whether you want the replica knife or the bloody knife, the minute that defense attorney says, "Oh, I want the real bloody knife," I'm okay with the bloody knife. You know what I'm gonna do? Ooh, I'm gonna start dancing and be happy. Because you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do when I get my last 5 minutes of that closing argument? That's gonna be my last prop. That bloody knife. I'm gonna lead them. The last thing they see before they leave the courtroom and go to the back is gonna be a bloody knife. That's why you don't do that. So that's why I'm trying to have that conversation with y'all. There are things that I have to see coming. And if I don't see them coming, it's a problem.
All right, guys, we have Big Phil in the building. Shout out, Big Phil. You want to introduce yourself and tell us what's on your mind?
How you doing, Mel? Thank you for adding me up. Calvin, how are you doing? And of course, Mama Flip.
I'm doing all right, man.
I know her through her son, Queen's Flip.
Exactly. And
I'll say this: I bring a different. Yeah, I do I have a different perspective because I sat at the defense table as a defendant in a murder case in Washington D.C. Charged at 17, acquitted December 28th, 1992. At 19. So I this case kind of reels home a little bit, just a little bit, not the same, particulars. Calvin, I would like to ask you this, and I did come to the party a little late if I was watching this.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of consideration to the Metcalf family, and I get it because they are the ones that lost their son.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of underhandedness seemingly at play in the way this whole case has been handled, down to the trial, even down to the sentencing. Now, I'm not boots on the ground in Texas, but I've never heard of a case being handled from the verdict being read to sentencing within such a short time and not allowing the defense to prepare and bring forth witnesses, character witnesses, to speak on Kamelo's behalf as to why he should not receive the maximum or nowhere near it.
Yeah, that scares me. And I'm gonna tell you what you're saying.
Counsel situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
That scares me, man. Listen, let me tell you something.
Okay.
On that kind of conviction, I gotta call my client to be able to talk for himself, to not be able to get that amount of time. There's only a couple of reasons why I wouldn't call my client. There got to be something bad somewhere from somewhere else for me not to call him, and it has to be something bad that's gonna hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it got to hurt him bad. And see, that's what's bothering me about this case. Like, I want to know what's there, what's so bad that's there that, and I'm telling y'all, listen, with my life on the line, you ain't want me to talk for myself? Nah, something's there. Something's there for me, something's there. I have to be able to I'm gonna humanize him. And see, we're gonna start now. You kind of late to the party because this is our day 2. First thing I would have done is I wouldn't have had that press conference. Day 3. My bad, my brain. I wouldn't have, you're right, because we done been through it, ain't we? I wouldn't have had the damn press conference in the beginning. That was a mistake number 1. When I say how big that mistake was, that put them in a corner, Phil, because what it did was, and I explained this to everybody the other day, it put all the attention on this case on Kamelo, negative attention. The person they had speaking for him had already had problems. That person himself had legal problems. And they hired him as a spokesman. Nothing against him, but I'm just calling it what it is. You ain't helping him, so it is what it is. Then in addition to that, you put Kamelo's face for the whole United States to see in a press conference that you can go back and replay. Not only that, you put the mom and dad in a compromising position. Because at a press conference, you got mama's face and daddy's face plastered all over the internet. Everybody's watching. Dad goes to work the next day. He's selling cars. He was selling 25, 30 cars a month. He can't sell no cars no more because they're getting to financing. He's trying to sell a car, get the financing, the dealers council, because they realize who he is. So he went from selling 25, 30 cars a month. He's selling 1 car a month. So now he can't work. Mama's face on there, she was working. Now they realize where she's working. So now my son charged with murder. I can't work. We can't live at the house we were living at. I just spent all my money to get him out. Now everybody know how I look. They didn't find out where I live. Now I got to sit there, go give sin stuff. Now I got to go spend money to live where? I can't live in a regular house no more. I got to live in a gated community because I'm getting threats. Now everybody looking at all this money we're raising, looking at it like we balling. Well, I got to live like this because them people after me. Not only that, with all of that stuff going on now because of the press conference situation that happened in the beginning anyway, that did not do anybody any good except for the person having the press conference. Now I'm in a hole. Now, when I'm trying to go negotiate something with Collin County, I ain't negotiate no with you. Now I'm hot. You done made me hot.
As a defense attorney, would you have not called Hunter as a hostile witness in that case?
I could have potentially called him.
Being as though Hunter did 2 interviews and they were conflicting interviews about what took place.
I probably would have called him. But one of the things you got to be careful with, I'm in Collin County. Out there, I don't know if that is a good thing out there because of the kind of juries you have out there. And I want to correct some people on some things. When you pick a jury in Collin County, you're not going to get a high African-American content jury. In a dream jury, you're going to get 3 jurors. Maximum, if you're lucky, if you got a rabbit's foot that day, you're going to get 3 black jurors if you got rabbit's foot. Typically, you're going to get 1. You might get 2 because Collin County's population is only 11% black. Its voting population out of that 11% typically is about 8%, 7%. So literally, 1 black juror is probably what you're going to get. 2 if you're lucky, 3 if you got a rabbit's foot and a 4-leaf clover. So your peers out there, you're not going to get a lot of African-American people on the jury. And it's extremely conservative. All of the representatives out there are Republicans. That's what you're going to get. So it's a very conservative place. So let me help you out with something that if you're not from Texas, why would I go get in one of the most conservative counties in this area? Why would I go get one of the most liberal activists from Dallas to come out and do a press conference after I have a black kid that stabbed a white kid and the white kid died? Why would I get that person to go do a press conference in one of the most conservative places in this area and do a press conference? It doesn't make any sense. That's where it all started. Some of these cases get managed in the beginning, and then these people got cornered because you have to understand they're from Louisiana. They're not from here. It's problem number 1. Louisiana is different in what? Louisiana is what? They're different, right? They work on a code system. Every other state in the United States have statutes. They have codes. Number one. Number two, they don't know the lay of the land. They don't know the trust up here. I think they've been up here 3-4 years total. So they have no idea who to call, no idea who to trust. They just, they Louisiana. They're not even from Texas. So that's a whole nother problem within itself. So that's another reason why I wouldn't have had that damn press conference. Because not only are they not from here, they're not even from Texas. And after killing somebody who is from there, I'm gonna have a press conference. What you having a press conference for? Let me help y'all out. Have y'all ever heard of anybody? As you said you had a murder trial or somebody was in a murder trial.
I was. I actually was.
Your ass didn't have no. You didn't have no damn press conference, did you?
No. I did have to take the stand on my own defense, but
okay,
I definitely had no press conference.
Your ass didn't have no press conference. And I tell you what, if I wish somebody would come in, let me tell you something. If I was representing somebody and somebody was talking about having a press conference, man, I would flop around on the floor like I'm having a seizure, man. I would fall on the floor like I'm having a damn seizure. If they tried to tell me they was going to have a press, we'd fight. I literally would fight somebody before I let them go up and have a press conference. I would. They'd be like, what's wrong with him? I'd be like, man, why'd you hit him? He talking about having a press conference. He lost his damn mind. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. It created all kind of problems, bro. So what happened is, when you did that, you gotta know. If we're talking about the racial component, we're talking about Collin County. When you had that press conference, you put Collin County on notice. You put the Attorney General on notice. You put the whole damn state of Texas on your damn neck. So any chance to resolve this any other way, you effed it off. I'm no fool. Why you think that boy got sentenced and sent to TDC, got 1 day? I ain't never seen that in my life.
1 day.
I've represented some people that they did not like.
Yeah.
Listen, I've represented some guys that they didn't like. They ain't never went nowhere in 1 day. The fastest I've seen somebody go is about a week, and that's when they really didn't like them. But a day, that's what bothers me. But like I said, there are some things in this case that we don't know. But to me, I'm thinking there has to be something with Kamelo, or there has to be something in this case for him not to testify on his own behalf in sentencing.
I don't know if this was addressed. You said this is day 2 or 3. Why was there? Thank you, Mama Flip. Why was there not more pushback with the allegations with the father, the judge, and the prosecutor?
Because that was fake. That was fake. Because see, I'm gonna be real.
But they said there's another picture.
No, that was fake too. No, that was fake too.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna tell you why. Because I know how they look. Because I've been dealing with them for 20-something years. And that's another thing that was angering me, because I'm like, why would y'all play like this? Why would y'all put a picture up there? And there was some reputable people that I was like, look, y'all been up here. Y'all know how these people look. Why would you put that picture up there? Y'all know that's not Roach and Willis and whoever else y'all say it is. Y'all know that's not them. Don't do that. That's what, in that picture, I had somebody come at me because I said, man, y'all need to take that down. That's not who that is. All kinfolk and kinfolk. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? I'm telling y'all to take that down because it's fake. It's making you look illegitimate. It makes us look like we're foolish.
Yeah, because I heard that one picture was fake. I heard that, but I heard that it was another picture that actually
I saw both of them. Both fake. They're
Okay.
both fake. I looked at them and I was like, and then they tried to make a picture of Toby Shook and the Worski. I was like, the guy I was like, yeah, that's Toby, but that's not Worski. I talked to the other guy. Matter of fact, when they put the picture up of Toby, they said the other guy was Worski. I talked to that other guy like 3 days ago, and he ain't Worski. I know how Worski look. Worski tall.
But let me ask you this then, right? If it was all
Yes.
fake, if it was all fake and there's no relationship there, how is it not only the pulling off of the getting them up out of there, getting them to prison right after the sentencing, like you said, somebody got pissed off, but to try to send them to the family members' prison?
That wasn't that
How
that
that's
wasn't
too-
that wasn't no
too
no that wasn't true
coincidental.
either. That wasn't true
Talent,
either because
Metcalf,
that wasn't true
Bird.
either. That wasn't true either because guess what? Number one, that Metcalf wasn't related, and then that matter of fact, he's not even there. No, listen, no, it's not. I'm telling you what happened because I know because the lady of the prison where he's at, actually commented because they send you to this one little place and then they send you to the place that you're actually going to be. So
Like
that
diagnostic or whatever.
yeah, exactly. That Metcalf place, they're not related to him. And then the place that he got sent to, where he's at now, is not that place where the Metcalf person is at. So they're not even related. So it's like one of those things where that stuff, that wasn't true. Now, I'm gonna tell you, the fastness of it happening bothers me. But once again, I think that comes from what? When y'all had that press conference in the beginning. You put too much attention on your guy. You put your guy in a hole. You put your guy in a situation where there was going to be extra resources allotted to them being able to prosecute the case. There was going to be less an opportunity to resolve it without having to go to trial. There was going to be less a chance of trying to get this case resolved without having to go to trial if you thought you could get a better situation for him without putting him at risk of trial. Those are the things that happened because you had the damn press conference, and I think that's where a bad start was. I think they got some bad advice from the beginning, and I think it snowballed on them because they just didn't know.
I believe that too. I believe bad advice. I believe they picked the wrong attorney. I believe that just he didn't get adequate representation to me. And I'm outside. I wasn't in the courtroom, but just from the things that have been pulled out, sounds to me there weren't enough experts pulled up as defense witnesses. Now they might have stipulated on certain things, like you were saying about the knife earlier, the multi-tool earlier. They might have stipulated on certain things to kind of condense the time of the trial or whatever. But
I want to add something else for y'all that's
Sure.
important. I want to add one other thing for y'all. Initially, there were other attorneys involved. I happen to know one of the other guys, but there was some kind of conflict between their PR person and the dad and the other attorneys. And I think that the first group of 3 attorneys that were there, I think that would have been a good group of people. That might have worked a little bit better because they were a little. You had more diversity with those 3 people. I think that might have worked better for them. I actually know the guy, the male black attorney that was in that 3 grouping, and I think that would have worked out fine.
better.
But I think there was some conflict between the PR person and dad and them that caused the problem. Because I also think on that team they had somebody that knew the lay of the land out in Collin County, which they needed somebody from out there that knew the lay of the land out there, because I honestly know that the attorneys that they did have did not know them like that out there like that.
Let me ask you this, and I don't want to hog the floor.
Yeah.
If you were defending this case, do you feel as though, with all that you know and or heard, that either you could have gotten him off and or would he have gotten a much lesser charge, like criminal negligence, criminal negligent homicide, or whatever? I forget what the least.
we would have started. We would have started different. There would have been no press conference. I definitely would have not put him in a situation where we get a murder charge. I would have tried to get him a manslaughter charge potentially. I would have needed to talk to him a little bit more because I need to know. And like I try to tell everybody, I haven't heard his voice. I haven't heard his full side of his story. I would have to know more about like what really happened in the damn tent. That's what's racking my brain. Like I know we hear everybody else's damn story, but nobody's heard his voice. We ain't heard his side. But with that being said, if he tells me, Calvin, I did A, B, and C, and I go like, you may have went a little too far, then I'm gonna try to get him a manslaughter, get him a better deal, but I'm not exposing him to no 25, 35, 45 years. That's not gonna happen. I think manslaughter would have been better, or criminally negligent homicide would have been better. But I think that went out the window the minute. Yeah. And y'all, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go because I got to get up in the morning. Everybody's on me. And dinner has to go and I got to eat.
Family and
yeah. But once again, everybody, listen, I know we disagree with each other through this. I know I'm pretty stern. I'm a particular way. But I'm just like that because I'm very passionate about what I do. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that I do this for real. I do this for life. I grew up in a community where I saw my friends go to jail for 20, 25, 35 years because they were not smart enough not to sell dope. I grew up in the Dixon Circle community in South Dallas. We had the first Crip set in the city. So I grew up around guys that were in trouble constantly. I mean, when crack cocaine came to Dallas, it came to Dixon Circle first. And so we were ground zero. We had the first Crip set in the city. And so my story of being where I am and going to where I went to is quite a remarkable story. I grew up with Larry Johnson that played for the New York Knicks. We grew up in the same community. He tells the stories, same stories I tell about growing up in the hood. And I actually went to the NBA draft as Chris Bosh's attorney later on in life. And God has been great to me. But during those times, I also saw a lot of guys I grew up with sell drugs, get in trouble, and go do 15, 20, and 25 years in prison. So when I'm fighting these cases, I fight them from a different perspective because I see the death and destruction of when people go to prison and how it affects their families and how it affects the children of these people who go to prison for a long time and how it continues to hurt the generations that come after that. So when I fight for these folks and I'm passionate about it, I want everybody to understand that's where I'm coming from because I see how much it has hurt people. I've seen mothers cry. I've seen people go to prison when I'm 16 and they come out when I'm 36 and I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, and they're looking at me like, and I'm just like, wow. Last time I seen them, I was on a basketball court. Now I'm in a suit and tie carrying a briefcase. So that's why I'm as passionate as I am about it. So once again, I appreciate everybody coming on, and we'll be doing this again soon on other cases. Peace and love to everybody. All right, y'all?
Appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks so much, Calvin.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. United we stand in love's pure might.